Hi there, and welcome back to the garden. I'm Eleanor. Before we begin, I want to hear a little bit of magic from you down in the comments. Have you ever had a hummingbird hover right in front of your face, close enough to feel the breeze from its wings? Or had a butterfly land gently on your hand or your shoulder while you were out working in the garden? Tell me your story. Those little moments, I think, are some of the purest joys in all of gardening, and today, we're going to make sure you have many, many more of them. Here's something wonderful I want you to understand right from the start. Your front yard can be so much more than just beautiful to look at. It can be genuinely, actively alive. A little sanctuary that hummingbirds visit every single day, that butterflies drift through all summer long, a small piece of the natural world that you've invited right up to your own front door. And the secret to that isn't some elaborate setup or expensive equipment. It's simply choosing the right plants, the ones that speak the exact language these creatures are looking for. Hummingbirds, you see, are drawn overwhelmingly to tubular, trumpet-shaped flowers, often in reds and oranges, that hold deep wells of nectar perfectly shaped for their long, slender bills and tongues. Butterflies, on the other hand, need flat, open landing platforms where they can perch comfortably while they sip, and some butterflies, like the beloved monarch, need one very specific plant to even complete their life cycle at all. Once you understand what each of these creatures is really looking for, building a garden that welcomes them becomes wonderfully simple. So today I'm sharing 10 plants that reliably bring hummingbirds and butterflies right to your front yard, and I'll tell you exactly why each one works so well. Do stay to the very end because our 10th plant is a genuine showstopper, the kind of flower that makes visitors stop dead in their tracks. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and if you love an easy, beautiful, living garden, tap that subscribe button. It truly helps this little channel grow. All right, let's invite some wings into the yard. Let's begin with a plant so beloved by hummingbirds that some gardeners simply call it hummingbird plant, Balm or Monarda. Balm produces these wonderfully wild, shaggy, almost fireworks-like flower heads, most famously in vivid scarlet red, though gorgeous shades of pink, purple, and white exist too. Each bloom is really a cluster of many small tubular flowers packed together, and that shape, deep, narrow, and nectar-rich, is precisely what sends hummingbirds into an absolute frenzy of visits. Plant a patch of red bee balm where you can watch it from a window, and I promise you, you will see hummingbirds there daily, often for hours at a stretch. Beyond the hummingbirds, bee balm is a genuine pollinator powerhouse. The bees adore it too, true to its name, and it blooms generously through the heart of summer. The aromatic mint-scented foliage, when brushed or crushed, releases a lovely fragrance, and it's actually a member of the mint family, which is part of why it grows so vigorously once established. It loves full sun to light part shade and consistently moist, rich soil. One thing worth knowing, older varieties of bee balm can be prone to powdery mildew on the leaves in humid climates, so I'd recommend seeking out one of the many modern mildew-resistant varieties bred specifically to solve that problem. For your design, plant it in a generous drift where hummingbirds will have plenty of blooms to work through on each visit, positioned somewhere you can easily watch and enjoy the show from your porch or a front window. My tip: bee balm spreads via underground runners and can become quite vigorous, even a little aggressive, in rich soil. Give it room to roam, or plan to divide and thin it every few years to keep it in bounds. A small trade-off for a plant that draws in so much hummingbird activity. A true hummingbird magnet, bee balm is where this list begins. Now let's add another color that hummingbirds cannot resist with number 2. Number 2 is, without exaggeration, one of the single best hummingbird plants that exists in all of gardening, Salvia. Salvia sends up tall, elegant, upright spikes densely packed with small tubular flowers, in shades ranging from fire engine red and deep purple to soft blues and pinks, depending on the variety. That tall spike form means a single plant offers dozens of individual blooms at once, and hummingbirds, who need to visit hundreds of flowers a day just to fuel their extraordinarily fast metabolism, absolutely love the efficiency of working their way up one spike after another. Watch a hummingbird garden with salvia in it for more than a few minutes, and you'll almost certainly see a visit. Beyond its hummingbird appeal, salvia is remarkably tough and easy. Many varieties are quite drought-tolerant once established. They love full sun and heat, and they aren't fussy about soil as long as drainage is reasonable. The perennial types return reliably year after year, while the annual types provide season-long color even in their first year. For your design, plant it in groups so those tall spikes create real volume and visual draw from a distance. Hummingbirds, much like us, are drawn to a bigger, bolder patch of color over a single scattered stem. It also pairs beautifully with bee balm, extending your hummingbird buffet across more of the summer. My tip: deadhead the spent flower spikes as they fade, snipping them off just above a set of leaves, and most salvia varieties will respond by sending up an entirely fresh flush of blooms. Keep that habit up through the season, and you can keep the hummingbird visits coming for months rather than weeks. Tall, efficient, and beloved by hummingbirds, salvia is a garden essential. Now let's add a butterfly favorite that's wonderfully easy to grow from seed with number 3. Number 3 is one of the very best butterfly plants there is, and it happens to be one of the easiest flowers any gardener, beginner, or expert can grow: zinnias. Zinnias produce bold, flat, daisy-like blooms in the most joyful range of colors: hot pinks, sunny yellows, deep oranges, rich reds, and soft pastels, held on sturdy stems well above the foliage. That flat, open bloom shape is exactly what butterflies are looking for. A stable landing platform where they can perch comfortably and sip nectar at their leisure, unlike the deep tubular flowers hummingbirds prefer. Plant a bed of zinnias in full bloom, and on a warm summer afternoon, you'll often find several butterflies drifting from flower to flower at once. What makes zinnias so wonderful for any gardener is how astonishingly easy they are from seed. Simply sow them directly into the ground once the soil has warmed in spring, and they germinate quickly and bloom generously all summer, right up until frost, for the cost of a single seed packet. They love full sun and regular water, though once established, they handle a bit of heat and dry spells reasonably well. They also make absolutely wonderful cut flowers, so you can bring armfuls of that same butterfly-friendly color indoors all summer long. For your design, plant them in generous blocks or drifts rather than single scattered plants. Butterflies, much like hummingbirds, are drawn to a bigger visual target, and a real patch of zinnias reads from much farther away. My tip: deadhead the spent blooms regularly by snipping the stem back to just above a set of leaves, and zinnias will reward you with continuous new flowers for months rather than slowing down after one big flush. Easy, colorful, and a genuine butterfly magnet, zinnias are perfect for any gardener. Now let's add the classic, unmistakable butterfly shrub with number 4. Number 4 carries its purpose right in its very name, and it lives up to that name better than almost any plant I know: the butterfly bush, or buddleia. This is a substantial, fast-growing shrub that produces long, elegant, cone-shaped flower clusters, most commonly in shades of purple and lavender, though pink, white, and even yellow varieties exist too. Each individual flower is tiny, but they're packed by the hundreds onto a single bloom spike, creating an enormous nectar buffet that draws butterflies from remarkably far away. On a warm, sunny afternoon, a butterfly bush in full bloom can genuinely have a dozen or more butterflies visiting at once. It's an extraordinary sight, and it's exactly how this plant earned its common name. It's wonderfully easy to grow, loving full sun and tolerating a wide range of soils, including fairly poor ones. It's also quite drought-tolerant once established and blooms generously from early summer right into fall, giving butterflies a long season of reliable nectar. For your design, use it as a substantial specimen shrub or informal hedge where its size can really shine. Ideally, somewhere you can watch the butterfly activity from a window or a porch seat. My tip, and this one's important: in many regions, older varieties of butterfly bush can self-seed prolifically and even become invasive, escaping into wild areas. To enjoy all the butterfly appeal responsibly, seek out one of the modern sterile or near-sterile varieties, which won't spread where they're not wanted, and prune the whole shrub back hard in late winter to keep it a manageable size and encourage the most vigorous new blooming growth. A true butterfly magnet, done responsibly, the butterfly bush lives up to its name. Now let's add the single most important plant for one particular beloved butterfly with number 5. Number 5 is, without question, the single most important plant on this entire list, because it isn't just a nectar source, it's an absolute necessity for one of our most beloved butterflies, milkweed or asclepias. Here's why milkweed matters so much. Monarch butterflies can only lay their eggs on milkweed, and it's the only plant their caterpillars can eat at all. No milkweed means no monarch caterpillars, full stop. It is that specific and that essential. With monarch populations under real pressure in recent years, every single milkweed plant in every front yard genuinely matters. And planting even one is a small but meaningful act of conservation you can feel good about. And thankfully, milkweed is also simply a beautiful garden plant in its own right. The butterfly weed variety produces clusters of vivid orange flowers that are as cheerful as any ornamental bloom, while common milkweed offers soft, dusty pink, wonderfully fragrant flower clusters. Both varieties draw in not just monarchs, but a whole host of other butterflies and pollinators for the nectar alone. It's a tough, easygoing native plant, loving full sun and tolerating poor, dry soil beautifully once established. In fact, butterfly weed in particular thrives on neglect and resents rich, overly moist soil. For your design, tuck it into a sunny, somewhat out-of-the-way spot in your beds, since the caterpillars will happily and rather visibly munch the leaves down as they feed. That's not damage to worry about, that's the entire point, and a sign your garden is doing real conservation work. My tip? Don't panic when you see the leaves getting chewed by fat, striped caterpillars. That's exactly what you planted milkweed for, and within a couple of weeks that caterpillar becomes a chrysalis and then a brand new monarch butterfly, right in your own front yard. Essential, beautiful, and a genuine act of conservation. Milkweed deserves a place in every yard. Now let's add a stunning hummingbird favorite red for moist spots with number 6. Number 6 brings the most brilliant, vivid red spike of flowers you'll likely ever grow, and hummingbirds find it utterly irresistible, Cardinal Flower or Lobelia cardinalis. This native perennial sends up tall, striking spikes absolutely saturated with intense scarlet-red tubular flowers in mid to late summer, a color so vivid it seems to almost glow against green foliage. That deep, narrow, tubular shape is a perfect match for a hummingbird's long bill, and the color red itself is one hummingbirds are especially drawn to from a distance, since it stands out so vividly against green. It's genuinely one of the most reliable hummingbird-attracting native plants in North America. Here's the one thing Cardinal Flower really wants, and it's different from most of our list so far: consistently moist, even wet soil. In the wild, it's often found growing along stream banks and in low, damp spots, so it's the perfect answer for that soggy corner of your yard where other flowering plants struggle and sulk. It likes full sun to part shade and rich, consistently moist soil. A layer of mulch helps enormously in holding that moisture through summer heat. For your design, plant it in that damp spot near a downspout, at the low point of a bed, or along the edge of a rain garden, where its vivid red spikes will draw hummingbirds right to an area of the yard that might otherwise go unused. My tip: Cardinal Flower is a relatively short-lived perennial for some gardeners, but it self-sows readily in the right moist conditions. So if you let a few seed heads mature and drop at the end of the season, you'll often find volunteer seedlings carrying the display forward into future years, completely free of charge. Vivid, moisture-loving, and a genuine hummingbird favorite, Cardinal Flower solves your damp spot beautifully. Now let's add a fragrant climbing vine that hummingbirds adore with number 7. Number 7 brings vertical beauty and a steady stream of hummingbird visitors climbing right up a trellis, fence, or arbor. Trumpet Honeysuckle or Lonicera sempervirens. This vigorous, twining vine produces clusters of long, tubular, trumpet-shaped flowers, typically in vivid coral red to orange, sometimes with a soft yellow throat, a shape and color combination that reads as an absolute beacon to any passing hummingbird. It blooms generously from late spring through summer, often with repeat flushes, and it brings real height and vertical interest to a front yard, dressing up a bare fence, an arbor over a walkway, or a mailbox post with lush, flowering greenery. Here's an important note because there's real confusion around this plant. This is the native trumpet honeysuckle, and it is a well-behaved, non-invasive vine that stays reasonably in bounds with an annual trim. This is entirely different from Japanese honeysuckle, which is a genuinely invasive species in many regions, and one I would not recommend. Always look specifically for Lonicera sempervirens, the native trumpet honeysuckle, to get all of the hummingbird appeal without any of the invasive concerns. It loves full sun to part shade and average, well-drained soil, and it's a wonderfully low-maintenance, long-lived vine once it has something to climb. For your design, train it up a trellis, an arbor, a mailbox post, or along a fence near the front entrance, where hummingbirds will visit right at eye level for you to enjoy up close. My tip, give it a supportive structure to climb right from the start and prune it lightly right after its mainspring flush of flowers to encourage a tidy shape and a second round of blooms later in the season. Vertical, fragrant, and a genuine hummingbird favorite, trumpet honeysuckle dresses up any structure. Now let's add a tall native that butterflies find utterly irresistible in late summer with number 8. Number 8 is a tall, statuesque native wildflower that turns into an absolute butterfly party the moment it blooms. Pye Weed. This substantial perennial rises up several feet tall, topped in late summer with huge, dusty, mauve-pink domed flower clusters that seem to draw in butterflies from every direction the moment they open. It's one of the very best late-season nectar sources there is, blooming right when many spring and early summer flowers have finished, filling exactly the gap that so many gardens have in late summer. On a warm August afternoon, a mature Pye weed in bloom can host an astonishing number of butterflies, bees, and other pollinators all at once. It's genuinely one of the liveliest sights in the whole garden. As a native plant, it's tough and low maintenance, tolerating a range of soil conditions from average to fairly moist, and it loves full sun to part shade. Its considerable height also makes it a wonderful architectural presence toward the back of a bed. For your design, plant it toward the back of a sunny to partly sunny border, where its height gives your whole planting scheme some real vertical drama, and where that late summer butterfly activity can be enjoyed from a distance without overwhelming a smaller front-of-bed planting. My tip? Give it plenty of room, since mature plants can spread quite wide, and consider cutting it back by about a third in early summer if you'd prefer a slightly shorter, bushier plant rather than its full, towering height, a technique some gardeners call the Chelsea chop for perennials that get a bit too tall. Tall, native, and a late summer butterfly party, Pye Weed fills the gap beautifully. Now let's bring in a gorgeous hanging basket favorite with number 9. Number 9 brings some of the most elegant ballerina-like blooms in the whole garden, hanging gracefully and drawing hummingbirds right to your porch. Fuchsia. Fuchsia produces the most extraordinary pendant, teardrop-shaped flowers, often in striking two-tone combinations of hot pink, deep purple, and crisp white, dangling gracefully from arching stems like little dancers suspended in midair. That pendant shape and rich color combination is a wonderful match for hummingbirds, who are perfectly adapted to hover beneath a flower and feed from below, precisely the angle a fuchsia bloom presents. Most fuchsias prefer part shade to filtered light and cooler conditions. They can struggle in truly blazing hot afternoon sun, which makes them a wonderful choice for exactly the kind of shadier porch where our earlier hummingbird plants, which mostly want full sun, wouldn't perform as well. This gives you hummingbird appeal even in a spot with less direct light. For your design, Fuchsia is absolutely made for a hanging basket, positioned at head height near a shaded porch or entrance, where you'll have wonderful close-up views of both the elegant blooms and the hummingbirds that visit them. My tip: keep fuchsia's soil consistently moist, since hanging baskets in particular dry out quickly, and pinch back the growing tips early in the season to encourage a fuller, bushier plant with many more flowering branches, rather than a few long, sparse stems. Elegant, shade-tolerant, and irresistible to hummingbirds, fuchsia is a graceful addition. Now for our 10th and final plant, a true showstopper. Here it is. And here it is, number 10, the plant I promised you at the very start, the one that makes visitors stop absolutely dead in their tracks, Passionflower or Passiflora. I genuinely don't know a more extraordinary-looking flower in all of gardening. Passionflower produces these intricate, otherworldly blooms, a wide, flat base of petals in white, purple, or blue, topped with a striking crown of delicate, thread-like filaments radiating outward, and a distinctive raised structure at the center that looks almost architectural. It looks less like something that grows in a front yard and more like something you'd find in a rainforest. And the first time a visitor sees one in bloom, the reaction is almost always the same: complete astonishment. But Passionflower isn't just a beautiful curiosity, it's also a genuine butterfly host plant, much like our milkweed. Several butterfly species, including the gorgeous Gulf fritillary, lay their eggs specifically on passionflower vines, and the caterpillars feed on the leaves before completing their transformation. So beyond the stunning blooms, you're also supporting an entire butterfly life cycle right in your own yard, exactly as we do with milkweed and monarchs. It's a vigorous, fast-growing vine that loves full sun to part shade and average, well-drained soil. In colder climates, it may die back in winter and be treated as a perennial that returns from the roots each spring, while in warmer regions it can stay evergreen and quite vigorous. For your design, train it up a trellis, an arbor, or a fence in a prominent spot near the entrance, where both the flowers and any visiting butterflies can be admired up close by everyone who comes to your door. My tip: give it a sturdy structure to climb from the very start, since it grows quickly and vigorously once established. And don't be alarmed if caterpillars appear and nibble the leaves. Exactly like with milkweed, that's a sign your garden is doing real, meaningful work supporting a butterfly's full life cycle. Extraordinary, otherworldly, and a genuine butterfly host, Passionflower is the perfect show-stopping finish. Now let's bring it all together. And there you have it, 10 beautiful plants that will bring hummingbirds and butterflies right to your front yard, from the fiery spikes of Balm and Salvia to that extraordinary, otherworldly passionflower we just finished with. Plant even 2 or 3 of these, and I promise you, your front yard will become a living, breathing little sanctuary. One you'll find yourself watching from the window more often than you'd expect. And remember what we talked about with milkweed and passionflower. Sometimes the most meaningful thing you can plant isn't just the prettiest flower, but the one specific plant a butterfly truly needs. That's a small, beautiful way to give something back. So tell me down in the comments, do you remember that hummingbird or butterfly moment I asked about at the start? And which of these 10 are you planting to invite more of them? Share it with your growing zone, because I'd love to help you build the perfect little wildlife garden for exactly where you live. And do go say a warm hello to a fellow nature-loving gardener down there in the comments. This little community only gets richer every time one of us shares a moment like that. I've got more wonderful ideas coming your way soon, so make sure you're subscribed with that bell turned on so you never miss a video. Until next time, this is Eleanor. Keep your hands in the soil and your heart in the garden. Take care now. Bye-bye.